Imagine this for a second. A simple act, maybe just a shared smile, or, giving someone a helping hand. What if that didn't just brighten their day, but actually truly transformed your own well-being? And I don't mean just in a feel-good philosophical way. This is real. It's backed by science. Today, we're doing a deep dive into that exact connection, this profound link between helping other people and finding, well, genuine joy and even better health within ourselves. We're going to explore what real altruism looks like, how it literally changes our brains, our bodies. We'll look at how people find healing, sometimes from really tough situations through the act of giving, and also why even the smallest kindness can create this powerful ripple effect through communities. Yeah, our mission here is really to uncover these fascinating insights, to see why the happiness of helping a stranger or anyone really isn't just about spreading kindness out there. It's also about discovering your own deep sense of joy and lasting well-being. So to really get this, we need to understand why we help in the first place. I mean, often helping feels good, right? You get that warm, fuzzy feeling. Is that genuinely selfless? Or is something else going on? Maybe a bit of, dare I say, egoism.
That's a really great starting point. It's a crucial distinction. When we talk about altruism in like a scientific sense, we mean behavior motivated by the unselfish goal of helping someone else. The main aim is to increase another person's welfare. That's the key focus researchers like Batson and Shaw highlight.
Okay, so the goal is the other person's benefit.
Exactly. Now contrast that with egoism. With egoism, the ultimate reason for helping, even if it looks kind on the surface, is actually for your own benefit. It might be to make yourself feel less distressed, or maybe avoid feeling guilty, or perhaps gain some kind of reward, praise, feeling good about yourself, that sort of thing.
Right, that makes sense. So it's not about whether we feel good afterwards, because often we do.
Right.
But what was the core intention? Can you give us a really clear example? Something visceral, maybe.
Sure, absolutely. Imagine you're out cycling, maybe on a quiet path. You come across someone who's been shot. They're bleeding badly. No one else is around.
Yep.
You stop, you call for help, maybe use your belt as a tourniquet, stay with them until help arrives. Now, if your ultimate goal in that moment was to relieve his suffering, his distress, that's altruism.
Okay.
Even if you later feel relief yourself or pride or satisfaction, those are sort of byproducts. They weren't the primary driver.
Got it. The motivation was for him.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this leads us to a really exciting concept: positive altruism. This is where genuinely altruistic behavior, where your intention is for the other person, actually ends up boosting the well-being of both people, the giver and the receiver.
So it's a win-win situation, but initiated selflessly?
Exactly. And when both sides benefit like that, it creates this self-reinforcing cycle, sustainable loop of giving that just keeps going.
Okay, so if the motivation is key and positive altruism benefits everyone,
Right.
what does this actually do to us, the givers? How does helping translate into, internal changes, emotionally, physically?
Well, one of the most fascinating things is this idea of the helper's high. Alan Lux first described this. He did a big study, over 3,000 volunteers, and the results were pretty striking.
A helper's high, like actually feeling high.
Yeah, about half reported feeling a distinct high, but also many felt stronger, more energetic. That was around 43%. Others felt a sense of inner warmth, calmer, less depressed.
Wow.
Greater self-worth, and interestingly, even fewer aches and pains for about 13% of them. It's quite a package of benefits.
That's incredible. Not just a vague feeling good.
Not at all. And it's not just subjective reports. Brain science actually backs this up. Research shows that acts of philanthropy, even something like donating money, light up the brain's mesolimbic pathway.
Which is
That's the reward center. It's responsible for that dopamine rush, the euphoria. It's the same pleasure center activated by basic essential things like eating or sex.
So our brains are wired to reward giving in the same way they reward survival activities.
It strongly suggests that yes. It implies giving isn't just a nice social extra. It might be something quite fundamental, neurologically speaking. A really powerful built-in reward.
Okay, so we've got the mental boost, the high. But does it go deeper? Can kindness, amazing as it sounds, actually make us physically healthier?
It really seems so. There's something called the Mother Teresa effect.
Intriguing name.
Isn't it? It comes from a Harvard study by David McClelland. He had students watch a film about Mother Teresa's compassionate work. And what they found was a significant jump in salivary immunoglobulin A, that's SIGA, in the students afterwards.
SIGA, that's an antibody, right? Part of the immune system.
Exactly. It's a key player in your frontline immune defense. So just watching kindness boosted their immune function.
Just watching it.
Yes. And maybe even more surprisingly, they found that just thinking about love and kindness, just contemplating it, had a similar measurable effect.
That's wild. So you don't even have to do anything. Just thinking compassionately can physically help you?
The research suggests exactly that. It points to empathy and kindness acting almost like an internal pharmacy, constantly working for our well-being without needing an external trigger.
Wow. Okay.
And this ties into another point. Altruism helps shift our attention away from ourselves. Too much self-focus, that kind of internal rumination, is linked to things like depression, anxiety, loneliness.
Right. Getting stuck in your own head.
Precisely. By directing our focus outwards, towards others, we literally interrupt those negative thought patterns. It helps rewire our brains towards connection. Plus, it boosts our sense of meaning in life. Helping others taps into fundamental needs for purpose, for feeling effective, for living our values, feeling part of something bigger.
So we've seen the immediate effects, the high, the immune boost, the shift in focus. What about the long game? Does this helper's high carry over into, say, longevity? Could helping actually add years to your life?
Well, the evidence is pretty compelling there, too. Long-term studies show a really strong link. For instance, Cornell University did a 30-year study following hundreds of wives and mothers. Those who volunteered weekly didn't just live longer, they also had better physical function later in life.
30 years is a long time to track that.
It is, and other studies back it up. Older adults doing about 100 hours or more of volunteering a year were roughly 30% less likely to develop physical limitations. And another large study, over 2,000 people in a community, found those volunteering for 2 or more organizations were, get this, 63% less likely to die during the study period compared to non-volunteers.
63%,
Yeah.
that's huge.
It's a remarkable statistic, isn't it? The consistency across different studies is what makes it so convincing.
And is this just an older adult thing, or does it start earlier?
Oh, it definitely applies across ages. For teenagers, volunteering is linked to better social skills, higher self-esteem. It even seems to protect against things like antisocial behavior or struggling in school. It seems that kids who are more generative, focused outward, giving back, tend to grow into healthier, more well-adjusted adults. It builds a strong foundation.
Sometimes the most incredible acts of kindness seem to come from people who've been through really difficult times themselves. Deep suffering somehow turning into helping others. How does that work? How does trauma connect with altruism?
That's a really profound area. Researchers talk about concepts like PTG, post-traumatic growth, and ABS, altruism born of suffering. It sounds counterintuitive, maybe, but experiencing trauma can sometimes act as a kind of intense empathy training, as Tedeschi and his colleagues put it.
Empathy training through suffering.
Yeah. It can lead to a deeper understanding of hardship, increased empathy, sometimes a stronger sense of self, and this really powerful drive to help others going through something similar. The suffering creates this well of understanding.
Are there examples of this? People who embody that?
Absolutely, some truly inspiring ones. Think of Leah Waters. She's an Australian psychologist. She went through a lot: childhood abuse, bulimia, the incredibly tragic loss of her sister to suicide. Yet she channeled that immense pain into becoming a leading voice in positive parenting. Her whole work is dedicated to helping children and parents thrive, drawing directly on her own experiences to try and prevent similar suffering.
Wow. Turning pain into purpose like that.
Exactly. Or consider Joe Casper. He's a physician whose 19-year-old son, Ryan, died from a rare fatal disease. Instead of being completely crushed by grief, he developed this amazing concept he calls co-destiny.
Co-destiny.
Yeah, the idea is that you add to someone's legacy, you keep their spirit alive by doing good deeds in their name. So Joe dedicated himself to helping other families affected by the same disease that took his son. It was his way of honoring Ryan and finding meaning.
That's incredibly moving. Co-destiny. It reminds me of what Judith Herman called a survivor mission, taking personal trauma and making it the foundation for helping others, for social action, and that idea of co-destiny. It feels like something we can all relate to, even without profound loss. Honoring people or values by living in a way that continues their positive impact. It turns memory into action. Thinking about all the problems in the world, though, it can feel, overwhelming. Like, what difference can I really make? But everything we're discussing seems to point back to the idea that even small things matter, that every act of kindness plants a seed, it starts a ripple.
That's exactly right. The ripple effect is a real thing. Small, everyday acts of kindness, sharing something, helping without being asked, they don't just stop with that one interaction. They can genuinely spread. Research shows that even just witnessing someone else being altruistic makes people more likely to pay it forward themselves.
Really? Just seeing it.
Yes. especially if the original kind act is noticed or praised. And interestingly, some studies suggest women might be slightly more inclined to pay it forward, but the effect is there generally.
And this isn't just individual ripples, right? Is there a
Yeah.
bigger picture?
Definitely. If you look globally, the World Giving Index for 2024 actually showed a significant increase worldwide in things like volunteering, helping strangers, donating money. It suggests a possible global shift towards more community focus, more supportiveness.
That's encouraging.
It is. And this value is embedded in so many cultures. In Islam, for instance, there's a saying from the Prophet Muhammad, every act of kindness is charity. It frames kindness itself as a fundamental form of giving.
So for anyone listening and thinking, okay, how do I start these ripples? It sounds like it doesn't have to be grand gestures.
Not at all.
It could be a genuine smile, sharing something you have, helping someone at home or next door without them asking.
Exactly. Holding a door, letting someone merge in traffic, offering a listening ear, these small things build up.
Yeah, it's comforting to know those little daily courtesies might actually have a bigger impact, scientifically speaking.
They do. Remember Milo's Be Straw Free campaign? That started with one kid's idea about reducing plastic straw use and grew into something huge that changed how businesses operated. Big changes often start small. Your small act truly can start a wave.
Okay, so the benefits are huge, the ripple effect is real. It almost sounds too good to be true. Is there ever a downside? Can you be too helpful, too empathetic? Can it backfire?
That's a really important question to ask. And yes, there can be limitations. Empathy is powerful, but it can lead to burnout. Terms like emotional exhaustion or compassion fatigue. Researchers like Hoffman and Figley talk about this. Feeling too much of other people's suffering constantly can become overwhelming.
Like your empathy battery just runs out.
Exactly, it's unsustainable. And empathy can also sometimes lead to bias. We might focus so intensely on helping one person that we overlook others, or maybe a more effective way to help a larger group.
Interesting point.
There's also this idea of a volunteering threshold. Research suggests that a moderate amount of volunteering, maybe a couple of hours a week, gives you those great health benefits we talked about.
Yeah.
But doing significantly more doesn't necessarily mean more benefits. In fact, it can sometimes lead to burnout or stress.
So more isn't always better. Balance is key.
Balance is absolutely crucial for making giving sustainable. You know the saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. It applies here. Giving within your means ensures you can keep giving effectively.
Right, which protects both the giver and the receiver in the long run. So knowing that, how do we make sure our good intentions actually land as helpful help and not what Edgar Schein called unhelpful help?
It really comes down to being sensitive to what the other person actually needs, rather than imposing what we think they need. Lucy Home, who works a lot with grief and resilience, gives some great practical advice for helping someone who's lost a loved one.
Okay, like what?
Things like, let them tell their story when they're ready. Help with practical adjustments to life without the person. Help them reminisce. Crucially, give them time to grieve. It's not linear. And stand by them, even through depression, without trying to fix them.
So being present, practical support, patience.
Exactly. And just as important is knowing what not to do or say. Avoid those platitudes that often minimize pain.
Oh, like what should we avoid?
Well, things like, at least she's in a better place now. Or asking, are you feeling better yet? Definitely avoid, everything happens for a reason. Or a simple dismissive, it'll be okay.
Yeah, those can feel pretty invalidating.
They can. And action-wise, don't change the subject if they want to talk about their loss. Don't make it about you. Avoid those probing why questions. Don't preach or lecture, and maybe don't ask too many questions at once.
Okay, that's a really helpful list of don'ts. So what's a do? What's a better way?
Often it's about acknowledging the suffering directly, simply being present. Sandberg and Grant, in their book Option B, suggest asking, how are you today?
Today, specifically today.
Yes, because it acknowledges that grief isn't static. It changes day by day, hour by hour sometimes. It shows you understand it's a cycle, not a straight line to better. It just opens the door with empathy, giving them permission to be however they are in that moment.
That feels much more genuine. So wrapping this all up, we've really journeyed through the science, the stories, and it seems undeniable, this reciprocal power of positive altruism. When we genuinely try to help others, we really do unlock these profound benefits for ourselves, psychological, physical, even healing.
Absolutely. It's a truly sustainable cycle of well-being, a genuine win-win when done right.
So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is, what's one small act of kindness you could plant today? How could you maybe more consciously weave giving into your daily life, and then just observe what ripple effect do you notice, both outwards in the world and inwards in your own heart. We really encourage you to keep exploring this, how your kindness can shape not just the world around you, but maybe, just maybe, redefine your own happiness.